Story 4 Benji and the Doll. We need something, Benji said to Nick. They laid on the grass in the valley. Nick nodded. We can go to a store or something, Nick said, and Benji sat up. Ideas of what to get? Let's just get something that we think looks cool, Nick said, and Benji nodded. They walked into town and walked around the stores. They stopped at a store that had no name. And like the scary-loving boys they were, they went into the store. It had weird things. An awful smell hit Benji's nose. Why does it smell like the ALC bathroom when we forget to clean it for a month? Benji asked, and Nick nodded. They got used to bad smells, but it was still unpleasant. Benji walked around the store, trying to find something to answer Nick's nightmare. What did it mean? He looked around the book area. Spellbooks, diaries, even a story of scary cookie recipes. Hey Benji, look! Nick came up with a doll. It has short, messy brown hair and button eyes. It looked old and falling apart. It looks kinda like you, Nick said, and Benji rolled his eyes. It doesn't. Let's just get it. It's free, Nick said, and they left the store with the doll. Back at camp, they set it down, and Benji looked at it with a weird look. You kinda make a point, Benji said. I even have a similar shirt. The doll wore a black shirt with a cat. Benji had one he got from Nick. He wore it to bed back in the ALC. Setting the doll down, he and Nick lay in bed, making beaded lizards. Why did you get a doll? Nick asked them. It was late and the three were getting ready for bed, freshly showered and wearing PJs. Why not? It looks like Benji, Nick said, and the three got into bed and went to sleep. The night Benji dreamed of the doll, its head creaking and it moving. He went over to where the cabin kept the swords, picking one up. Walking back to the bed, ignoring Nick and Nico. Go away! Benji screamed, and the doll blinked. It blinked, with real flesh. Benji tried to scream, but his mouth was soon shut with yarn. He tried to scream more, but he couldn't. Stop fighting it, friend, the doll said. Who are you? Benji. I'm Benji, the doll said. Now Benji wanted to scream. He wanted someone to wake him up. He blinked, and the doll was in front of him. Peekaboo, the doll said, and Benji tried to scream again, but he lost hope that he could open his mouth. Don't fight it. He can't save you. Benji knew what it meant. Nick. He looked next to him. Nick was gone. But how he knew it was a dream was that Benji always woke up before Nick, and when he didn't, Nick would just lay in bed. He opened his eyes to Nick tapping his head with a washcloth. Good, Nick said. You were burning up. I got worried, he said. Benji smiled and Nick handed him water. Thank you, Benji choked out. He was so happy to be able to speak again. He gulped down the water and Nick handed him a second glass. He swallowed it, the cold water hitting the dry spots of his throat. You have a small fever. I broke it when I woke up, Nick said, and Benji nodded. What happened? I don't know, but I think you guys were right about the doll. We should get rid of it. It cursed my dreams. That explains why last night you were kicking and I tried to wake you, but you were overheating, Nick said. I got a wet towel and cooled you down. You seemed fine when we went to sleep, so I got scared. Worried boyfriend? Adorable, Benji said, trying to flirt, but he looked, smelled, and sounded like death. Good thing it was Nick, who had seen him at his worst. Nick just smiled and Benji got up and grabbed the doll. Let's go, Nick said. The two of them walked into the woods behind the cabin. They knew a few trails because they wanted a reason to be alone in the woods. They walked along one of them. Benji then saw changes. The trail was gone, the trees were gone. Nick turned around. He had a sewn-on smile, his eyes buttoned. He was no longer holding the doll. Nick tried to step to Benji, the mouth trying to open. Benji stepped back, closing his eyes. Benji! Nick yelled. Careful! Benji felt a hand grab his wrist and pull him back onto the trail. In the process, Benji dropping the doll and it fell into the creek, sinking. Thanks, Benji said, and Nick let go. You okay? Think so. Benji then started to describe the thing that Nick had become. Good thing you dropped the doll. Let's go back, Nick said, and Benji nodded. The two of them walked down the trail and into the camp. Aaron and Carmack met them. Guys, the bathroom is covered in blood, Carmack said.
I have nothing to say. Great job, my friend. They will also be doing next times, but it will take a lot longer because they do practice a lot beforehand.